The opinions expressed in the following podcast are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide education and entertainment about the financial industry and the stock market. Enjoy.
On this episode of Pennies Going in Raw, we discuss the crazy move CEI had, inflation, and more.
You find out life's this game of pennies.
Oh, you guys know we only have a 40% runner. Hello, 40% is a fucking killing.
We've been compliant for too long. It's time we go to war.
I don't have a Roth.
Q knows so much about the market that his brain doesn't have enough room for grammar.
Hey, who told me about IDEX? It's going up a shit ton now.
We're up 4%, baby. No way. 4 fucking percent.
You asked the exact same question with 2 words different.
It's like, man, I just got dick whipped for like 20%, and now that f***er's up like 50.
I bet Warren Buffett never did that.
I'm just making this voice memo to call out unusual whales to a fight.
The pennies we need are everywhere around us.
Pennies. Going in raw.
Featuring Dan, Deity Dips, and Hugh Honey.
Produced by Vinny.
And Christian.
Let's go, baby.
Welcome back to another episode of Pennies Going in Raw. Today is Wednesday, October the 6th, and Stocktober has, been off to a Rocktober start. It has been a little rough. I mean, you saw on Monday, you had people apparently don't like inflation, and everyone's like, holy shit, the inflation's going to ruin everything. And market dipped a lot. Went down to around the 430s, 428s again, 427s. And it's bouncing a little bit on Tuesday to the 434 range or so. But, crazy moves. And on top of all of that, we thought we'd have a whole episode to talk about there. Today, CEI had a short report come out and a lot of action. Went down to around 120, 110, I think. I think it's... What do you know what it's at right now?
Right now, while we're talking, it's like 150. The low of the day is like 103. And honestly, I hate this. I hate these big drastic moves up, and I hate these big drastic moves down because these don't give time for on the way up. It doesn't give shorts time to get out, and on the way down, it doesn't really give longs time to get out. And so I really hate these drastic moves because somebody got squashed today. It's really tough for retail, I feel like.
Yeah, and one of the crazy things, I was talking to my buddy at lunch today, and I told him, it was around 150 then, and I said, if it was at 150 and and this is the highest it's been, people would be praising them if it just went up that 2% every day. But instead, it went up 20%, 10%, 30%, and it went up to 5%. So obviously, it's going to, like we've been saying, even when it was at 253, I was probably saying it at 150 as well, that it's going to see a pullback. I mean, it's crazy that it went this high, but I mean... When people were saying like, oh my God, can you believe CEI or CEI's crap? I'm like, it just went up 1,000%. What did you expect it to do? Go up another 1,000%?
Yeah. And I want to reiterate the 2 sayings that we have here. One being that the backside of the trade comes 10 times faster. And I mean, I think we all see that with CEI. And the other thing that I want to reiterate is that this is bigger than retail. I think we talked about it on Sunday's episode. Is that, listen, there was almost 1 billion shares traded the Friday before. Yeah, the Friday, what was that? Like the last Friday in September, there was almost 1 billion shares traded. Again, that's not like Dan, me, my friends, and like a few homies in college, sitting there inside our dorm rooms trading this. There's a lot of volume here, and I suspected that there was probably some fund or institution behind this that was churning the shares. And it sounds like, it comes back to when we talk about market makers. And when we talk about market makers, we always talk about how market makers use headlines to shift the market. Okay. And that's really what it feels like CEI and the market makers did for this short report. Okay. They were waiting for a negative catalyst. And because the company can't dilute, that didn't come. So the next best thing was this short report. And so it felt like, I mean, you just saw so much selling. And again, you know, when you see billions of shares being, not billions of shares, but billions in volume and tons of money just being inflowed, outflowed all day, every day, and that big churn, yeah, you get that big move. I think I was looking at it earlier, and that big move earlier, like what was it, Wednesday, from 295 to 485. That was that big, huge exhaustion move. And then the next day, it even hit back down to like that $3 range. That's that move where, where probably that big whale was getting out or starting to get out. And then since that move, you've kind of seen this like selling into CEI. And so I want to reiterate that, listen, we're not playing games here. A lot of people come into the stock market and they think, hey, you know, CEI oil should go up. Yeah, that was the thesis at 50 cents. Guess what? It went up, and hell, it went up a lot. And then once you get over this certain kind of, let's call it like this barrier, and it becomes way more about the price action and way more about the volume than the thesis. It kind of comes back to Kodak last year. Remember Kodak went like 1,000% intraday? At a certain point, the thesis works. And I would probably say that usually if it runs over 200% in a short amount of time, it becomes way less about the catalyst and way more about the price action, because that price action is what makes that big move, exhaustion move up. And that price action is going to be the same thing that brought CEI down 58% today. So I think it's really important that we need to keep like, okay, hey, our thesis, or the thesis, the people that were in CEI, the thesis was it's going to go up with oil. Oil went up, CEI went up. But after like $1.50 or whatever it is, you need to be playing it for the price action.
It goes back to something Laidback said, and I know you've never been on one of the interviews with Laidback, but he's actually said it on one of his interviews. I mean, you got to think, like, if everyone was waiting for, let's say, this $10 price target, if the people got in at $5, to get 100%, they need it to go $5. For the people that got in at $2, they only would need it to go from 4, then 6, then 8, and and the people that are in at 50 cents, they only got to wait for a tenth of what you're waiting for to get another 100%. So you got to think, like, is chasing that the right, you always got to think if you're chasing. And going back to the short interview, or the short report, it was by Carousel Capital, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And for those that may not have been listening to the podcast for a while, if you go back to episode, I think 26 and a half, we actually interview the president of Carousel Capital. So
it's only like 2 or 3 guys. It's one of the main guys or only guys from the Carousel Capital. And we also talked to Doug Bonaparte. So if you want to get an idea of how their brain thinks, you could definitely go check that out. But when if you're holding something for a while, let's say you got in at $1, you see it go up to 480, and then for the first time ever, you see it dip like this crazy 20%. And even if it bounces a little, is that kind of like a good time to start thinking like, hey, maybe it's not all sunshine and rainbows over here, and it is time, maybe there is selling pressure? Like, aside from looking at candlesticks to find out, maybe you're not the best candlestick guy, you haven't been in this a while. Is that something you could look at to be like, okay, we've been green every day for so long, we're starting to get some weird range here, it's about to get funky? Because people, people have been looking to short this for a long time. Oh yeah. Listen. At the end of the day, good. I'll call them good shorts. Okay, shorts that know what they're doing. They're not going to start in on it. When they see $1 billion in volume, they're not going to start shorting it. they're not stupid. They understand the way that volume works. They understand that volume precedes price action. That if we had kept that billion volume, CEI would probably be at 10. Like, they're not stupid. But when they see that big exhaustion move, yeah, they're gonna start in there. And then, if you pull up the chart on like the 20-day, 1 hour, you can see that CEI got back up to that 435. And that was an ugly candle. That was like an ugly kill candle. So once shorts see that, okay, so they saw the exhaustion move, then they saw I guess we'll call it like a small retest, and that retest was instantly rejected. For most shorts, that is like the sky just opens up. Like that's like a really nice pattern for them to short. You would really need another big squeeze. So what I'm trying to say is that they were waiting for this move, okay? Like, they just continue to let it go, let it go higher, see the exhaustion move, boom, they slam in there. They see the retest. Now they get really big in there. Okay, and so what CEI really needed to continue to go up is either again tons of volume, like literally 1.5 billion shares traded, or they needed a positive catalyst. And right now, CEI didn't really have that going for them. Their financials aren't current, so I don't know the exact rules on it, but they probably can't just release news when their financials when they have till November 19th. So I think that what I'm trying to say here is that, again, I know that when I'm trading my swings and they get news, especially if it's the news I'm looking for, I have my targets, okay, that I scale out 50, 60, and 70% of my position. And then if I start to see relative volume like 5, 10, 15, 20x what it usually is, now I become more of a day trader, even though it's on my swing, because you have to play the price action or else you'll get killed. You'll get killed. Okay. And again, I don't listen. This is a tough day for a lot of traders, especially inside the retail on the retail space. So I don't really want to harp too much on it. But if let's just say that you bought a full position at 3 and you just sold it at $1.15. Okay. Yes, you took a bath, but take it as a learning lesson. Okay. We've all been there. We've all done things just like that so many times. And I can tell you right now that you won't do it again if you properly learn from it. I was talking to an options trader, and he blew up 60% of his account. Okay, trading stupid. Okay, and there's 2 ways that you can go with this. The first way is that you learn from it and you come back and you never do it again, and you say, okay, that was my one fuck up, I will never do this again. Or you do this again, and if you do this again, you won't be in this game for long. Okay, so it's at this point you have 2 roads. Either you choose longevity and you learn from this and you never do it again, or if you do this again, you will not be in this game for long. I promise you. So take it as a learning experience. It's a tough day. Have a beer.
Yeah, I think it was Manziel tweeted something about this. Just because something is a big picture trade or bigger picture, longer term for someone else doesn't mean it has to be for you, Trade it, like if you just saw a $10 price target that some dude on Twitter put out and you bought it at $4 and you're mad that it's down, like I beg of you guys to look at the 5-day, and that you don't need any crazy shit. Look at it on Robinhood for all I care. The 1 week, the 5-day, and the 1 month chart. Just look at those 2. If it's up a crazy amount, maybe reconsider. And there are so many ways of losing on this today. Just same way there was a ton of ways to gain on it in the past month. The guy that actually rented this place out, my buddy Drew, he texted me today and he's like, I just lost 10K on CEI. I was like, how? I didn't even know you were in it. Like, we talked about like how mad we were we didn't get in it. And he was like, had a feeler bid out at 2.5 GTC. I was like, shit. Yeah, so he bought him. It filled his bid around 230 because it halted down and ended up selling it around 160, 150. So.
Yeah, and just to touch our last point on CEI, okay? So we talked about that billion in volume on earlier last week, okay? Just now, it's about 2:51 Eastern time on Tuesday, and it just hit 500 million in volume. So again, the same move that took CEI from 250 or whatever to 485, on a billion share volume, okay, like there's a chance that CEI hits a billion share volume. But again, that billion share volume to the upside, that's got to go somewhere eventually. And so now we're seeing that to the downside, which is taking it from $3 to $1.3 or $3 to $1.30. So I just want to keep that in mind that this has got to be something that you always think about when again, I think that the logical progression is, okay, am I trading this for a catalyst? Yes. Okay. What's the catalyst? Catalyst is I expect oil to go up. I expect CEI to go up because as a sympathy. Okay, great. Oil went up. CEI is now up 150%. Boom. That's a fantastic play. I still think that it has more in the tank. Now, the catalyst was complete. So now what's the why is the next reason that's going to go up? Okay, a massive short squeeze. Great, we got that massive short squeeze. Now we're sitting at up 400%. What's the next thing that could take it up? Another short squeeze? No, play the price action. Okay, once your catalyst is complete, play the price action. That's all I can harp on.
1 billion volume made it go up 33% that day. It went up like 350 to 488. 500 mil, which is half of that, made it go down 50% today. So, everything was amazing. Then you get all these halt ups and downs. Please take some profits every now and then. And I think we'll move on to something way scarier than the millions of dollars that everyone lost collectively on CEI today. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp were down all of yesterday, damn near. I took a shower so I could post an Instagram story, and it ended up being a pointless shower. Obviously, it was some coding shit that is way too in-depth for me. But, I mean, it came after this Facebook whistleblower. And what do you have any more details on that you kind of want to touch on and what it may mean?
So today being Tuesday, the whistleblower testified. Now, I just want to point out something. The whistleblower said that Facebook padded their numbers. Yeah, I could have told you that. I mean, honestly, what company doesn't really pad their numbers, whether it be users or whether it be their accounting numbers? I mean, the amount of creative accounting that goes on inside the public sector is incredible. I mean, we could do an entire episode on just the creative accounting around public companies, but we won't. But my point is that that's not new information. The other thing is that if we think about this logically, okay, it's sad that this is the way it is, but it's just the way that it is, okay? If Facebook truly, one of the other things that the whistleblower said was that Facebook didn't really try to censor, I don't want to call it bad content, but sensitive content and some racism.
Yeah, they said they disabled security features after the election. I didn't dive in to know what the fuck that meant, but.
Well, but the thing is that yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if we think about this logically, okay, Facebook needs tons of users and needs people to be active on Facebook. Well, are people just going to go to Facebook every day for cooking? Yes. But why do people watch the news? Because they want to be updated with what's going on. And sometimes that's, ugly things. I think we had the Facebook Live, shootings and stuff like that. And so the struggle there is that it comes down to more ethical than anything. And so, should Facebook have had a tighter round on it? Yes. Did they? No. Was it malicious? Maybe. But at the end of the day, that brought in more revenue. So it's one of those things where like the whistleblower really didn't say anything that like I felt like we really didn't know. It was just like when a group of friends are inside a room and two kissed the other night or something, and someone finally says it. It's like one of those things where like everybody already knows. It's just somebody came out and said it. You know what I mean?
So why do you think that kind of made that? Obviously, it'd be ridiculous to think it's coincidence that every Facebook related, like every website Facebook owns, went down with Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook. I mean, I can't tell you how many calls I had to ignore from my mom that day.
Yeah, honestly, if I had to guess, and I'm not going to, like, I would never put any money on this, but if I were Facebook, I would probably be like data scrubbing, to cover my tracks. Because at the end of the day, half of Congress can't even explain Facebook. So if I just delete everything, what's Congress going to do? Facebook. How many times has Mark Zuckerberg been in front of Congress to testify? Like so many. Like this isn't Facebook's first little go at it with ethical and with legal legislation issues. Yeah, with legal issues, like this is like Mark Zuckerberg honestly probably just said, yeah, fuck it, like shut it down and data scrub. Like we'll turn it back on in like 8 hours, like something like that. And that'll probably be the end of it, they probably pay off this girl.
It's kind of funny. You can literally look at the price of the stock and then think about it as like human memory and be like, okay, by the time it's back at the price that it was yesterday, which it's, I think maybe another 2% away. It's green around 2.5% on the day. Like by then, no one's gonna be talking about the whistleblower thing. It's the 24-hour news cycle, like you always talk about.
No, exactly. The 24-hour news cycle is a real thing. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, the whistleblower really didn't say anything that we didn't know. She just said it. And so to me, all that says is that, maybe Facebook pays her off. Maybe Facebook gets a fine. And then what they'll probably end up doing is that they'll probably end up making a new task force. They'll end up making a new task force that is committed to, cracking down on the flaws that Facebook had, that the whistleblower, and then they'll thank her publicly. And that'll be that. And so it's kind of like one of those things when penny stock companies create a electric vehicle division. Okay, like what's that actually mean? It's two dudes sitting inside a room. It's on the payroll. So, at the end of the day, I think that I think in a week or two, Facebook will be back up. I honestly would be shocked if we heard much more about this, unless this whistleblower starts a domino effect and someone actually has this could make someone come forward who actually has
But as of right now, it's not quite Edward Snowden in the NSA leak. Right. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, along with that happening yesterday, the inflation shit made the market shit. Obviously that was tough for a lot of swings and tough for SPY as well. You're seeing a little bounce today. Is that just part of the market, or is that, obviously, inflation is, I feel like everyone that knows what inflation is could say it's a ridiculous high. But why is yesterday the day people decided to be like, oh shit, it's here?
So there's a few things that come into this. The debt ceiling is an issue. What'll be the most interesting to me going to the end of the year is how we handle this debt ceiling. Do we increase it? So we increase the debt ceiling, but I really think that SPY is ready to bounce. I'm looking at it right now, and I really think that SPY is just ready to bounce. We kind of double bottomed here. October is usually a good month for SPY. If we break out over 440, I really do think that we probably see all-time highs. The volatility has been insane. I mean, I went to bed on Sunday night, and I think futures were up like 1.5% or maybe half.
Yeah, it seems like over the past couple months, you haven't seen more than like a 0.2, 0.3, less than 0.5%. In the past week or so, you've seen a couple 1%, 1.5%
full percent moves. Yeah. Yeah, and so it's been crazy. And if you're on the right side of the volatility, yeah, I mean, you can make a killing. And that's where I was on Friday. And then if you're on the wrong side of the volatility, which I was yesterday, then you might get smoked across the board. And so that's really where, so I've been taking it slow. I think that the best way to do this is that we're seeing a lot of, especially inside the small cap world, we're seeing a lot of connect between, SPY and also different swings. So like you saw CEI and DATS, starting to get smoked. And I mean, it felt like small caps across the board kind of got smoked for a minute there. And so what that signals to me is that we're not there yet. The other thing that we talked about is that weed and themes and sympathies. And I mean, so we just had big news coming out earlier today. And I mean, there was no follow through on weed. Like they barely moved. Where before, a weed headline would come out and they'd be up 20%. So to me, that's something that I'm going to look for, that if weed finally does get some follow through, that's going to be a signal to me, just kind of inside my mind that like, oh, okay, this is interesting because we haven't seen this in months. So that's kind of part of what I'm looking for, but I think SPY will figure it out. Like I said, we kind of double bottom. We're kind of like this big zone here as we wrap up Tuesday going into power hour. So, I mean, I'll be interested, but honestly, I don't see us going lower than like 420 before. I think we see all-time highs before we see under 420, to be honest, unless some kind of catalyst comes out.
What do you think was the main reasoning behind your prediction of SPY being all-time high again by the end of September, not ending up being right?
I mean, that comes down to a few different things. One being, the inflation talk, the debt ceiling. Those are the two biggest, in my opinion, by far. The other thing is that it really, I wasn't expecting, everybody was super bullish on the 50-day EMA, and then when it gapped down, it seemed like everybody turned bearish. And so for me, that's when I was like, oh shit, like this is the perfect opportunity to buy the dip. And then it kept dipping. So everybody was, I guess, technically right underneath the 50-day moving average, even though, I mean, we went down like another 3%. So to me, though, at this 425 level, I mean, that's a really good level, I think, to buy the dip. Now, I'm not worried about all-time highs. The question that I have is that, are we going to enter back into the ascending triangle that we've seen for the last 18 months? Or are we going to create kind of more of like a W range? And what I mean by that, is it going to be like one of those things where we pop between, like, let's say 460 and 425 for the next 2 or 3 years? That's what I'll be interested in, because we haven't seen that since before, like, really Trump was in office. So, I mean, probably 80% of retail traders right now haven't been inside a market like that, where you're just seeing like a lot of range and not like this ascending triangle that we've seen.
All right. Well, one more thing. This is tough. This is definitely my biggest loss. And yeah, I think we should have a wish bag holder judgment-free zone. So yeah, I'll be honest. I am holding it, and I actually, it went past all of my sell limits, and I just said, hey, every time I was like, how much fucking lower could it go? It can't go too much lower. And it always did. And it just kept going to a point where I'm just like, if it goes to zero, it goes to zero. I think it emotionally would fuck me up if I sold it right now and it reversed. Just because I've let it hurt me so much that, like, how could I let it run wild like the free stallion that wants to be without me? So, for anyone in it, I know everyone thinks, oh, Dan, you got the puts. You're such an ass. Oh, yeah. The puts don't fucking come close to my year to date on Wish. So, to anyone else in that one, I'm with you
While
guys.
we're talking about Wish, so it's been down 2, 4, 5. It's been down 5 weeks in a row.
Like
on
every
on the
day.
weekly chart. I don't know about. Let me see about
Its
every day.
RSI is probably 4.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so the RSI is at 25 on the daily, and on the weekly, the RSI is at like 30. So, me personally, you guys know how I feel about buying things without confirmation. Personally, for me on Wish, I don't add to things. I'll just reiterate this for the new listeners. I don't add to things until they come down, create support, and start to curl back up and show a confirmation of a reversal. So if we take Wish right now, okay, now I will say though, is that the RSI on the daily is at 25. If we get to 13, 13 is kind of like my RSI magic number. If we get to 13 on the RSI, I will be there. I will be there to start a position because at that point, a bounce is imminent. And so even if I have to hold that down and it goes down to 6, I'll double up my position because at that point, a bounce is 100% coming, even if it's a smaller one that maybe it's only 70 cents. But that gives really good risk to reward. A RSI 13 under on the daily and also the weekly, like I said, is at 30. That gives really good opportunities, okay? Yes, you have to be more patient with it. Yes, you have to manage your position a little bit more. And again, I'll be taking green pretty quickly, but a bounce is definitely imminent, especially because you can basically do like a winter ski slope on this chart. So any kind of bounce and any kind of volume to the upside could bring a little bit of a squeeze back up. So again, 25 the RSI is at right now. 13, I'll be there with a decent sized position.
Yeah, it's so hard to trade around a core when it's going down every day and never bounces, man.
Yeah.
I hate Wish.
Yeah.
I fucking hate it. Yeah. I'm over it. I'm not sad. I'm just fucking depressed. All right. Well, last thing, maybe a little late to this one, but Elon Musk and Grimes got divorced. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with that kid whose name is all funky, but hopefully they'll be good co-parents for X, whatever signals.
Isn't this like his fifth?
He's been married a lot. He be busting it, man.
Dude, you think it's him? It's got to be him, right?
Does he? You think they sign prenups, or is his?
Oh hell yeah, bro! If I have 2 lawyers, that motherfucker has like 20.
Grimes is now the richest musician of all time by a long shot.
Dude, that's crazy. Maybe it's honestly probably just I hate to say this, but it's probably just how much he works. Like I watched a documentary on him. I mean, dude, that motherfucker works.
Yeah.
Either way, wish him the best.
Yeah, Grimes, hit me up.
Yeah, what if she just starts? I obviously don't know what the prenup or what she's gonna get, but what if she just starts like giving away like Tesla shares to like Elon Musk's like
haters,
worst enemies or something? Yeah.
Like, hey, do you want some shares to borrow? Like, if you're looking for shares to short, you can just take mine.
She starts pumping like Toyota.
She starts fucking the like Henry Ford. His grandson.
Oh my god.
Oh man, we were so feminist last week and we just fucked it up today.
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, we had him last week though. All right, guys. Long live Grimes, long live Elon, and take profits when you see them. If it's good enough for a screenshot, it's good enough to sell. And give us 5 stars, seriously. For reals. Please. Bye. Love you.